My beloved child, I have a question for you. And I need you to listen carefully, because this is not a small moment. This is not a random whisper passing through your day. This is me, your Father, calling your heart to attention right now. Do not rush past this. Do not let your mind wander. What I am about to ask you has been waiting for the right hour, and that hour is now. I have watched you. I have seen the silent battles, the private thoughts, the questions you were too tired to speak out loud. And today, I am not coming to correct you. I am not coming to accuse you. I am coming with a question that carries weight, a question that requires honesty, a question that only you can answer. Lean in, because I am waiting. There are moments in your life that pass like ordinary days, and then there are moments that divide before and after. This is one of those moments. You may not have expected me to speak this directly. You may not have expected urgency in my voice. But I tell you the truth. What you choose in your heart after hearing this will shape the next chapter of your life. Stay with me. Do not scroll away in your spirit. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. You have asked me for clarity. You have asked me for direction. You have asked me why certain doors closed and why certain prayers seemed delayed. And now I am answering you in a way you did not anticipate. I am answering you with a question. Yes, my child, I have a question for you. And it is not meant to shame you. It is not meant to trap you. It is meant to reveal you. It is meant to bring you face to face with the deepest place inside your heart, the place where fear and faith wrestle quietly, where hope flickers but does not die. This is why you must listen until the end. Because if you leave too soon, you will misunderstand my heart. If you turn away too quickly, you will miss the tenderness behind my words. I am not demanding perfection. I am inviting honesty. I am not looking for performance. I am looking for truth. You have waited for me to move. You have waited for me to speak. Now I am waiting for you. Can you feel the weight of that? I am not impatient. I am not distant. I am present. I am steady. And I am looking at you with love deeper than you understand. But love asks questions sometimes. Love invites response. Love pauses and waits. So quiet your thoughts for a moment. Let the noise settle. Let your defenses fall. Because in the next breath, I will ask you something that will echo beyond today. And I am waiting for your answer. My beloved child, let me draw the circle smaller now. I am not speaking to a crowd. I am not addressing a distant audience. I am speaking to you. Yet you, out of all the noise surrounding you, out of all the distractions competing for your attention, my voice has found you. That is not an accident. You did not stumble into this moment. You were led here. I know the rhythm of your breathing. I know the thoughts that pass through your mind when no one else is listening. And I know the quiet longing you carry for something more certain, something more secure, something more real. So when I say I have a question for you, understand that it is personal. I am not testing you to expose your weakness. I am not measuring you against someone else. I am your father. And when a father asks his child a question, it is not to shame him. It is to draw him closer. It is to open a door that cannot be opened from the outside. You have wondered at times if you were overlooked. You have asked yourself if your life matters in the larger story. Let me remove that doubt right now. I do not overlook my children. I do not misplace their tears. I do not confuse their names. You are seen. You are known. You are intentionally called into this conversation. This is why my tone is steady. This is why my voice is gentle but firm. because I trust you with this moment. You may feel unqualified. You may feel like you do not have the perfect answers. That does not concern me. I am not looking for polished words. I am looking for a willing heart. I am not searching for someone who has never struggled. I am speaking to someone who has struggled and is still here. You are still here, my child. Through disappointment, through delay, through questions that seem to echo without response, you have not completely turned away. You may have grown tired. You may have grown quiet. But you did not let go completely. And that matters more than you realize. So breathe with me now. Let your shoulders relax. You are safe in this space. There is no accusation here. There is no hidden trap behind my words. There is only love that refuses to give up on you. If these words are settling something inside you, if you can feel even a small measure of peace rising where anxiety once sat, then do not keep that to yourself. Bless this message with a like so it can reach further than just you. Share it with someone whose heart has been heavy, someone who hath been silently asking their own questions. And if you desire more moments like this, more reminders of my steady voice in the middle of your storm, subscribe and remain close. Let this message travel farther, so more of my children can remember they are not forgotten. But come back to me now, because this is about you. I am not asking for a public display. I am asking for a private response. Deep inside, beneath the surface thoughts, beneath the fears of what others might think, there is a place where you and I meet without noise. That is where I am waiting. I have watched you carry responsibilities that felt too heavy. I have watched you try to be strong when you felt fragile. I have watched you smile in rooms where your heart felt uncertain. And I have never once turned my gaze away. So when I ask you a question, it comes from a place of deep understanding. I know your history. I know your wounds. I know your potential. I know the version of you that you have not yet fully stepped into. And I am inviting that version forward. My beloved child, this is not random. This is relational. This is intentional. This is love reaching for you, not to pressure you, but to awaken you. Now stay close, because what comes next will touch the very place you have tried to guard the most. My beloved child, before I ask you anything more, I want you to know that I understand the landscape of your heart. You have been tired in ways you could not easily explain. Not just physically tired, but soul tired. The kind of exhaustion that sleep does not fix. The kind that settles quietly behind your eyes and follows you into the next morning. You kept going, because that is what you do. You carry on. You show up. You try again. But inside, there has been a weight. I have seen it. I have seen the moments when you prayed and felt like your words barely reached the ceiling. I have seen you pause mid-sentence, unsure of what to say next because disappointment had slowly rewritten your expectations. You did not stop believing in me, but you began to wonder how long belief would require you to wait. You asked for answers. You asked for movement. You asked for change. And when the days stretched without visible shift, confusion began to whisper to you. Not loudly, not grammatically, just enough to make you question whether you misunderstood something along the way. My child, I saw the nights when you lay awake replaying conversations. I saw you analyze your own decisions, wondering if you missed a sign, if you stepped too soon, or waited too long. I heard the thoughts you never spoke aloud, the ones that sounded like, did I do something wrong? Or why does it seem easier for everyone else? You compared your timeline to others. You watched doors open for them while yours remained closed. You smiled for them, but deep down you felt overlooked. And then you felt guilty for even feeling that way. You tried to stay strong. You tried to stay grateful. But gratitude felt harder some days. Faith felt quieter. Hope felt fragile, like a small flame you were shielding from a strong wind. I do not speak these things to magnify your pain. I speak them because I was there in every moment. When you felt unseen, I saw you. When you felt unheard, I was listening. When you felt forgotten, I was closer than your own breath. You have carried frustration with delay. You have wondered why progress felt slow, why breakthroughs seemed just out of reach. You have asked why silence stretched longer than you expected. And though you did not fully turn away from me, there were moments when you felt like pulling back, like protecting your heart from more disappointment. A tension inside you, between faith and fatigue, has been real. You believed I am good, but you struggled to understand my timing. You trusted my heart, but you questioned my methods. And I was not offended. My beloved child, I am not threatened by your questions. I am not shaken by your weariness. I am not disappointed in your honesty. I would rather you bring me your confusion than hide it behind empty words. You have walked through days where you felt small, days where your confidence thinned, days where you wondered if you were truly equipped for what you have been asking for. And yet, even in that uncertainty, you kept moving forward, even if only in small steps. That matters. Your private endurance matters. Your quiet persistence matters. Your tears that no one else noticed matter. You may think your struggle has made you weaker, but what I see is a heart that refused to completely close. I see someone who, even in frustration, kept a small space open for me. And that is why this question I am about to ask you carries such weight. Because it touches this very place, the place shaped by exhaustion, confusion, hope, and resilience all at once. Stay with me. I am not ignoring what you have felt. I am not dismissing the heaviness. I am acknowledging it fully. And from that place of honesty, we will move forward together. My beloved child, as you remain with me in this tender place, hear this also. What I am speaking to you is not only for you. There are other weary hearts, soul-tired, confused, quietly carrying weight, who are waiting for this very word to reach them. When you choose to support this mission through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed, the PayPal link rests in the video description. You are sowing light into someone else's midnight. As it is written, I give seed to the sower, and bread for food. I multiply what is released in faith. When you place your offering in my hands, it becomes oil in a lamp that refuses to go out. It becomes a river that carries my voice across unseen distances. I ask you now, will you help me answer the prayers of those still lying awake tonight? This is not a transaction. It is a holy partnership. What you release, I will return pressed down, shaken together, and running over with favor and protection. Do not delay this prompting. Act in this moment of alignment. So now, and watch me breeze increase over your life and over the souls your obedience reaches. My beloved child, let us speak honestly now about the questions that have been circling your heart. You have asked them quietly, sometimes in prayer, sometimes in frustration, sometimes not even directed toward me, but floating through your thoughts late at night. How much longer? Why does this feel delayed? Did I misunderstand what you promised? You have watched time move forward while your situation seemed to stand still. You marked seasons by calendars, by birthdays, by changes in other people's lives. And in those moments, You felt the tension between what you believed and what you were experiencing. You believe I am faithful, but you also feel the ache of waiting. You believe I am near, but sometimes I seem silent. You believe I had a plan, but parts of your story felt unfinished, unclear, even unfair. And so the questions lingered. You saw others step into opportunities you once prayed for. You saw relationships form while yours shifted or ended. You saw doors open quickly for them, while yours required knocking again and again. And even when you celebrated others, there was a whisper inside you that asked, "Why not me? Why not now?" You wondered if you missed something, if you made a wrong turn, if you hesitated when you should have moved or moved when you should have waited. You replayed decisions in your mind, analyzing small details as if clarity might suddenly appear in hindsight. And when no clear answer came, frustration tried to settle in. There were moments when you felt the quiet injustice of it all. Not dramatic injustice, but subtle imbalance. You tried to live with integrity. You tried to remain patient. You tried to trust me. Yet it seemed like shortcuts worked better for others. It seemed like compromise moved faster than obedience. You did not want to think that way, but the thought crossed your mind. And in that tension, faith and frustration stood side by side inside you. You spoke words of trust during the day, but at night you wrestled with uncertainty. You told yourself to be strong, to keep believing. But sometimes belief felt like effort instead of rest. You asked me why I allowed certain doors to close without explanation. You asked why silence lasted longer than comfort. You asked why clarity did not come sooner. And when heaven felt quiet, you filled the silence with your own interpretations. Maybe I am not ready. Maybe I am not enough. Maybe I misunderstood the signs. My beloved child, I heard every one of those thoughts, not as accusations against me, but as honest expressions of a heart trying to make sense of delay. I was not angered by your questions. I was not threatened by your confusion. I was patient with your process, because questions are not the opposite of faith. Sometimes they are the doorway to deeper faith. But here is where the tension grew. The longer you waited, the more you feared that waiting meant denial. The longer I remained quiet, the more you wondered if silence meant absence. And slowly, carefully, you began to guard your expectations. You lowered them just enough to protect yourself from disappointment. You told yourself not to hope too strongly, not to expect too much, not to imagine too vividly. You thought it would hurt less that way. But deep inside, hope never fully left you. It flickered, it dimmed, but it remained. That is why this moment matters. Because the question I am bringing to you is not disconnected from your waiting. It is not separate from your confusion. It is woven directly into it. The delays, the closed doors, the silence, the comparison, the internal wrestling. None of it has been meaningless. And before I reveal what I am asking of you, I want you to understand this. Your questions did not disqualify you. Your frustration did not push me away. Your moments of doubt did not cancel my love. You are still here. And so am I. Now stay with me. Because clarity is closer than you think. My beloved child, you have carried your questions long enough. Now let me gently slow the pace of your thoughts. Do not rush ahead. Do not try to predict where I am going. Just breathe with me for a moment. Clarity is not absent from your life. It has simply been unfolding in layers. You wanted a full explanation all at once. You wanted a clear outline, a visible roadmap, a defined timeline. But what I have been giving you is something deeper than information. I have been shaping perception. I have been adjusting the way you see, not just what you see. There is a perspective you could not have held months ago. There is a steadiness you did not yet possess. If I had answered every question immediately, you would have understood the surface but missed the depth. You would have received direction but not transformation. So I allowed the process to stretch, not to frustrate you, not to confuse you, but to prepare you. I know it did not always feel that way. It felt like silence. It felt like delay. It felt like standing still while everything else moved forward. But beneath what you could measure, something was being aligned inside you. Your reactions were being refined. Your motives were being purified. Your expectations were being softened and strengthened at the same time. You were learning to remain steady without constant reassurance. You were learning to trust my heart even when you could not trace my hand. That is not a small lesson. That is not surface-level growth. That is deep-rooted maturity forming quietly. And now, because you have walked through that stretch, you are ready to hear what you were not ready to hear before. My child, revelation is not just about answers. It is about timing. An answer given too early can distort your response. An explanation received before your heart is ready can create pride, fear, or resistance. I do not withhold to control you. I wait to protect you. There were moments when you would have misinterpreted my clarity as pressure. There were moments when you would have tried to force outcomes instead of flowing with them. So I allowed you to sit in the unknown a little longer, not because I abandoned you, but because I was strengthening you. I need you to understand this. Nothing about your season has been random. The pauses had purpose. The silence had structure. The delay had design, even when you could not see it. And now we are approaching a turning point. Not a dramatic explosion of change, but a subtle shift in understanding. The kind of shift that rearranges your internal world before it ever touches your external circumstances. The question I am about to ask you is connected to this shift. It is not a question meant to trap you. It is a question meant to align you. It will require honesty. It will require courage. But it will not require perfection. Before I speak it clearly, I want you to settle your fears. This is not about what you failed to do. This is not about revisiting old mistakes. This is not about reopening wounds. This is about your present heart. Right now, in this moment, can you feel how close I am? Not distant, not watching from afar. Close, patient, intentional. You have been asking for answers. I am giving you something better, understanding. And understanding begins with a question. Stay steady. Do not let anxiety rush in. Do not assume the worst. What I am bringing to you is wrapped in love. It is anchored in your good. It is rooted in the future I see for you. The next words will not push you away from me. They will draw you closer, if you let them. So quiet your assumptions. Release your defenses. Let your heart soften just a little more. Because we are about to step into the center of this conversation. And what I ask you next will illuminate everything that came before. My beloved child, let me now speak plainly about what this season has truly been. This was not a season of punishment. It was not a season of rejection. It was not a season where I stepped back and left you to struggle alone. What you have been walking through has been a season of alignment. Alignment of your heart with mine. You asked me for more clarity, more impact, more stability, more purpose. And I heard you. I always hear you. But before I could entrust you with more, I had to ensure that what was inside you could sustain what was ahead of you. So I began aligning you. Alignment does not feel dramatic. It does not always feel inspiring. Often, it feels like slowing down when you want to speed up. It feels like waiting when you want movement. It feels like doors closing when you were certain they should open. But beneath what you could see, I was adjusting your foundation. There were subtle places in your heart where control still lived. Not loud control, not defiant control. Just quiet insistence on how things should unfold. You had preferences about timing. You had expectations about outcomes. You had mental pictures of how blessings should arrive. And none of that made you wrong. It made you human. But if I had answered every prayer exactly the way you imagined, you would have stepped into new spaces carrying old anxieties. You would have held opportunities with tight hands instead of open palms. You would have tried to manage what I intended you to steward. So I allowed the pace to sow. I allowed the pressure to reveal what was hidden. I allowed the waiting to surface what you truly trusted. This season has been about surrender without losing desire. It has been about learning to want something deeply while still saying, "Father, your timing." It hath been about resting in my character instead of clinging to specific outcomes. That is alignment. Alignment means your heart begins to beat in rhythm with mine. It means your prayers shift from demanding explanations to seeking closeness. It means your peace is no longer entirely dependent on visible progress. You may not have noticed it at first, but you have changed. You are less impulsive than you were before. You pause more. You react less quickly. You think more deeply. You are more aware of your motives. When frustration rises, you no longer let it control your decisions as easily as it once did. That is not weakness. That is growth. When certain doors closed, you felt disappointed. But instead of forcing them open, you stepped back. That was alignment. When answers did not come immediately, you felt unsettled. But you did not abandon your faith. That was alignment. When others advanced faster than you, comparison tried to whisper. Yet you chose, even imperfectly, to stay in your lane. That was alignment. This season had boundaries. It was measured carefully. I knew how much stretching would strengthen you and how much would overwhelm you. I do not test you blindly. I refine you intentionally. Every delay had a purpose. Every silence had structure. Every restriction carried wisdom. I was not trying to see if you would fail. I was shaping you so you could stand steady when greater responsibility comes. Because what you are asking for requires emotional stability. It requires patience that does not collapse under pressure. It requires humility that does not turn into pride when doors finally open. Alignment always precedes advancement. If I build outward success on an unaligned heart, the weight of it will eventually crack the foundation. But when the heart is aligned first, growth becomes sustainable. Peace becomes consistent. Decisions become clear. You have been learning to desire me more than the results you seek. You have been learning to trust my wisdom more than your own timeline. You have been learning that my silence is not absence but intention. My beloved child, this was a season of preparation, not deprivation. It was a season of refining, not restricting your destiny. It was a season of internal strengthening so that when the external shifts begin, you will not be shaken by them. And now that alignment has taken root, you are closer than you realize to stepping into what once felt delayed. Stay near. Because of this even with not a good. My beloved child, now that you understand this season was about alignment, I need to gently remove the lies that tried to attach themselves to your waiting. This was not punishment. You may have wondered that in quiet moments. You may have replayed old mistakes and thought, maybe this delay is because of that. Maybe I'm paying for something. But I do not operate with hidden retaliation. I do not hold grudges against my children. When I correct, I do it clearly. When I restore, I do it fully. What you have been walking through was not revenge. It was refinement. This was not rejection. When doors closed, it felt personal. When opportunities dissolved, it felt like a verdict against your worth. But closed doors are not statements about your value. They are redirections of your path. I was not pushing you away from good things. I was guiding you toward better timing and better alignment. This was not abandonment. There were days when my silence felt heavy. You spoke, and you did not immediately sense a response. You reached, and you did not immediately feel movement. And in that quiet, a fear tried to form, that I had stepped back, that I had grown distant. But my silence was not absence. It was protection. There are moments when if I spoke too soon, you would cling to the words instead of clinging to me. There are seasons when my quiet presence builds deeper trust than constant explanation ever could. I was near you in every pause. I was steady in every delay. I was attentive in every tear you walked away when no one else saw. This was not you being overlooked. You are not invisible in my sight. Your obedience in small things did not go unnoticed. Your restraint when you wanted to react did not disappear into emptiness. Your quiet integrity when no one applauded you mattered. Just because others did not see the cost of your choices does not mean I missed them. And this was not wasted time. Nothing you have walked through has been meaningless. The waiting was shaping patience. The disappointment was deepening resilience. The silence was strengthening trust. What felt stagnant was actually stabilizing you. My beloved child, fear tries to interpret delay as denial. It tries to write waiting as rejection. It tries to label silence as abandonment. But fear is not your teacher. I am. When you felt pressure, it was not to crush you. It was to reveal where you still leaned on your own understanding. When you felt restriction, it was not to confine your future. It was to guard it. Even the relationships that shifted were not signs of your unworthiness. Some connections ended because they could not grow where you are going. Some opportunities dissolved because they were attached to a version of you that you have outgrown. Let that truth settle gently in you. You have not been cast aside. You have been carefully guided. You have not been disqualified. You have been developed. You have not been forgotten. You have been formed. I need you to release the narrative that says you were left behind. You were not behind. You were being built. And building often happens out of sight, beneath the surface, in ways that do not look impressive in the moment. Trust is strengthened when misunderstanding is corrected. So let me correct this clearly. I have never withdrawn my love from you. I have never paused my care. I have never stepped away from your story. If anything, I have been closer in this season than you realized. What you experienced was not rejection. It was redirection, not punishment, cooperation, not abandonment, alignment. Let those truths replace the quiet accusations that tried to settle in your heart. Because once you release what this season was not, you will be free to fully understand what it was doing inside you. My beloved child, I want to slow this down and show you something precious, something you may have completely overlooked while you were focused on what had not yet changed around you. You have been more faithful than you give yourself credit for. While you were watching the doors that stayed closed, I was watching the decisions you were making behind those doors. While you were measuring progress by visible results, I was measuring growth by quiet obedience. I saw the moments when you held your tongue. You were misunderstood. You were tempted to defend yourself with sharp clarity. You had the words ready. You had the arguments formed. And yet, something inside you paused. You chose restraint, not because you had nothing to say, but because you were learning wisdom. That pause mattered. I saw the forgiveness you extended when your pride wanted justice. No one clapped for you. No one recognized the internal battle you fought before you said, "I let it go." You did not post it. You did not announce it. You simply chose not to carry bitterness into the next day. And choice carried weight. I saw the long nights when your faith felt thin. You did not always feel strong in prayer. Sometimes your words were short. Sometimes they were silent. Would you still turn toward me instead of away from me? Even in confusion, you leaned in. Even in disappointment, you remained. That was obedience. I saw the times when quitting would have been easier. Leaving at responsibility. Abandoning that effort. Closing your heart completely. It would have protected you from further frustration. It would have felt like relief. But you stayed engaged. You stayed present. You allowed yourself to grow instead of escape. It was obedience. You resisted compromise when shortcuts presented themselves. You could have bent your values slightly. You could have justified small dishonesty because everyone does it. But you felt the tension, and you chose integrity instead. Even when no one would have known. Even when it cost you speed. It was obedience. You apologized when it would have been easier to stay silent. You admitted fault when pride whispered, "Protect yourself." You chose humility over image. You chose growth over ego. That was obedience. My beloved child, obedience is rarely loud. It does not always feel dramatic. It often looks like ordinary decisions made in private spaces. But those small decisions have been shaping you more than you realize. Every time you chose patience over impulse, you strengthened emotional stability. Every time you chose forgiveness over resentment, you widened the capacity of your heart. Every time you chose honesty over convenience, you reinforced your foundation. You thought you were simply surviving this season, but you were being formed in it. Even when you stumbled, even when you reacted poorly and had to correct yourself, you did not remain stuck there. You reflected. You adjusted. You learned. That willingness to grow is itself a sign of maturity. Do not dismiss this. The world celebrates loud achievements. I celebrate faithful consistency. The world applauds visible success. I honor hidden character. You may have felt unnoticed by people, but you were never unnoticed by me. When you walked away from conversations that would have pulled you backward, I saw it. When you declined invitations that would have compromised your peace, I saw it. When you chose discipline over distraction, I saw it. When you guarded your heart instead of hardening it, I saw it. You were not idle in this waiting. You were actively becoming someone stronger, wiser, steadier. And here is what you must understand. These small acts of obedience are not separate from your future. They are building the capacity you will need to carry what is ahead. You cannot step into greater responsibility without first learning restraint. You cannot sustain blessing without first cultivating integrity. You have been doing, at work, quietly, imperfectly, faithfully. My beloved child, what you have chosen in secret has been preparing you in ways that public success never could. Nothing you did in obedience was wasted. Nothing you endured in integrity was ignored. Nothing you surrendered in humility was unseen. These moments, these simple, steady, unseen choices, are the evidence that alignment has truly taken root inside you, and they are about to matter more than you think. My beloved child, let me take you deeper now, because what I am about to show you will change how you interpret everything behind you. You have underestimated the weight of your quiet decisions. You believe that because no one applauded your obedience, it must have been small. You assume that because your circumstances did not immediately shift, your choices did not carry significance. But you were measuring growth by visibility, while I was measuring it by depth. And depth is formed in hidden places. Every time you chose patience, when frustration was easier, something inside you strengthened. It may have felt like a simple pause. It may have felt like you were just holding yourself together. But that pause was not empty. It was formative. You were teaching your spirit to remain steady under pressure. Every time you chose integrity when compromise would have accelerated your progress, you reinforced a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. You may have felt overlooked while others advance more quickly, but speed without structure collapses. You were being given structure. That is hidden significance. Every time you forgave someone who did not apologize, every time you let go of resentment without closure, every time you chose peace over proving your point, you were expanding the capacity of your heart. And a heart with greater capacity can carry greater responsibility. You thought you were simply surviving, but you were being strengthened. You thought you were just enduring another ordinary day, but those ordinary days were layering resilience into you. Small choices, repeated consistently, shake destiny more than dramatic moments ever could. One decision to guard your speech. One decision to step back instead of react. One decision to pray instead of panic. These did not seem powerful at the time, but together, they have reshaped you. Nothing was wasted. Not the tears. Not the restraint. Not the self-corrections when you realized you responded poorly and chose to adjust. Even your moments of weakness held value, because instead of remaining in them, you reflected. You recalibrated. You grew. That willingness to grow is a sign of maturity far deeper than perfection ever could be. My beloved child, roots grow underground. They stretch quietly, unseen, strengthening the tree long before branches appear. If branches grow too quickly without strong roots, the first storm will uproot them. But when roots are deep, storms may shake the surface without destroying the structure. This season has been about roots. When you remained faithful in tasks that felt too small to matter, you were building discipline. When you chose consistency over emotional impulse, you were developing stability. When you refused to let disappointment harden your heart, you were preserving tenderness. These things are rare, and rare qualities carry weight in the unseen realm long before they produce visible fruit. You may have asked, what difference does this make? When you resisted temptation privately, you may have wondered, does this even matter? When you chose the harder right instead of the easier wrong, it matters. It all matters. Because what you repeatedly choose becomes who you steadily become. And who you have become is not the same person who entered this season. You are calmer now. You are more self-aware. You are less reactive. You are more thoughtful before speaking. You are more aware of your patterns and more willing to correct them. That is not accidental. That is formation. If these words are awakening you to the value of your hidden obedience, if you feel your perspective shifting from frustration to understanding, then bless this message with a like so others who feel unseen can be reminded that their faithfulness is not forgotten. Share it with someone who believes their waiting is meaningless. and remain connected, so more of these truths can steady your heart and the hearts of many. Now bring your focus back to me. I am not revealing this to flatter you. I am revealing it to prepare you. Because hidden growth always precedes visible trust. When small decisions are honored, greater responsibility can be entrusted. When the inner structure is strengthened, external increase does not destabilize you. The true significance of this season is not in what you lost or how long it lasted. It is in the person you were becoming while no one was watching. And that person is stronger, steadier, and more prepared than you realize. My beloved child, let me speak more deeply now about what has truly been forming within you during this season. What you have walked through has not merely been about circumstances shifting or remaining still. It has been about who you are becoming at your core. Character has been taking root. Not the character that appears in moments of celebration, but the character that reveals itself under pressure. The version of you that responds when you are misunderstood. The version that chooses when no one else is watching. The version that decides whether to trust or retreat when answers are delayed. Patience has been cultivated in you, but not the passive kind that simply waits for time to pass. This is active patience, the kind that remains steady while uncertainty lingers, the kind that resists the urge to force outcomes just to quiet discomfort. There were moments when you wanted immediate clarity, immediate change, immediate reassurance, and instead of reacting impulsively, you learned to sit in the tension. That sitting has strengthened you. Delay has refined your emotional stability. In the past, when something did not unfold quickly, anxiety may have risen sharply. You might have rushed into decisions just to feel movement. You might have interpreted slowness as failure. But now, there is more space in you, more room to breathe before responding, more willingness to observe before acting. That is growth you cannot measure with a calendar. Humility has deepened in ways you may not even recognize yet. You have become more aware of your own blind spots. You have learned to examine your motives instead of assuming they are always pure. You have become more willing to say, I may need to grow here, instead of defending every reaction. True humility is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is confidence without arrogance. And that strength is quietly increasing within you. Trust has also been reshaped. At the beginning of this season, trust required constant effort. You had to remind yourself to believe. You had to push back against doubt again and again. But over time, something shifted. You began to see that even when you did not understand my timing, you were sustained. Even when doors closed, new insight formed. Even when answers were delayed, you were not abandoned. Experience has built trust more deeply than explanation ever could. You have learned that my consistency does not depend on your feelings. You have learned that my presence does not vanish when circumstances confuse you. That understanding has made your faith less fragile. There is also emotional maturity forming in you. You are less reactive than before. You do not allow every opinion to shake your identity. You do not allow every setback to redefine your future. When frustration rises, you notice it instead of becoming it. When disappointment comes, you feel it without letting it control you completely. That is stability. And stability is necessary for what lies ahead. My beloved child, character is built in repetition. In small, daily choices. In the decision to speak carefully instead of impulsively. In the choice to forgive again instead of reopening offense. And the choice to remain consistent when motivation fades. You have been practicing steadiness. You have been practicing surrender. You have been practicing integrity. And practice slowly becomes part of who you are. You may not feel dramatically different. Growth often feels subtle while it is happening. But if you look closely, you will see that you recover more quickly from setbacks. You reflect more thoughtfully on your reactions. You approach decisions with more awareness. You carry disappointment with less panic. That is character. And character determines how long blessing can remain in your hands. What I am shaping in you is not temporary excitement or emotional inspiration. I am forming sustainable maturity. The kind that does not crumble under pressure. The kind that does not inflate with pride when doors open. The kind that can hold both responsibility and humility at the same time. My beloved child, the person you are becoming is capable of carrying more than the person you were at the beginning of this season. And that is why this formation was necessary. Because what comes next will not only require opportunity, it will require the strength of the character that has been growing quietly within you. My beloved child, as character has been formed within you, now I invite you to steward influence with intention. The maturity growing quietly in you is not only for personal stability, it is for kingdom expansion. When you support this channel through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal offering, the PayPal link is in the video description. You are practicing the very integrity I have built in you. You are sowing into fertile soil so my word can become a harvest in countless hearts. I have said that those who water others will themselves be refreshed. This promise breathes even now. Your seed becomes fire that keeps this altar burning. It becomes manna for those wandering in spiritual wilderness. This is your moment of partnership, your moment of alignment with what I am spreading. Do not see it as small. No seed given in faith is insignificant in my hands. I will guard what concerns you, multiply what you release, and anchor you in favor as you give. Step forward now and sow with courage. My beloved child, I want to return once more to the place that tested you the most, the silence. Not the obvious delays, not the visible closed doors, but the quiet moments when you spoke and did not immediately sense me responding. That silence unsettled you. You can endure difficulty when you understand its purpose. You can tolerate waiting when you know the reason. But silence feels different. Silence leaves space for interpretation. And in that space, your fears sometimes began to speak louder than my truth. You asked me for direction, and the answer did not come as quickly as you hoped. You prayed for clarity, and the fog did not lift overnight. You looked for confirmation, and instead you felt stillness. And in that stillness, you wondered if I had stepped back. But I had not stepped back. I was drawing you deeper. If I had given you immediate explanations for everything, you would have leaned on information instead of intimacy. You would have depended on constant answers instead of cultivating steady trust. You would have moved only when reassured, instead of learning to stand grounded in who I am. There's a difference between being informed and being formed. In earlier seasons, I guided you with clearer signals because you were learning the basics of dependence. But now you are growing, and growth changes the way guidance feels. It becomes quieter, more internal, more rooted in discernment than in dramatic signs. Silence required you to develop discernment. Without constant confirmation, you had to pause and reflect before acting. You had to examine your motives more carefully. You had to ask yourself whether you were moving from fear or from peace. You had to sit with discomfort long enough to understand what it was teaching you. That internal process could not have happened if I filled every moment with obvious direction. Silence protected your becoming. If I had told you exactly when certain breakthroughs would happen, you would have endured the waiting with a countdown in mind. Your patience would have been strategic, not surrendered. If I had revealed why certain relationships ended, You might have justified yourself instead of allowing humility to deepen. If I had explained every closed door, you would have tolerated the lesson without truly absorbing it. I was not withholding clarity to frustrate you. I was protecting the depth of your transformation. My beloved child, silence exposes what noise conceals. In quiet moments, your anxieties surfaced. Your expectations became visible. Your subtle attachments to control revealed themselves. You discovered how much you depended on reassurance. And though that discovery was uncomfortable, it was necessary. Because what remains hidden cannot be healed. Silence also revealed your resilience. You felt confused at times, yet you did not fully walk away. You felt disappointed, yet you did not close your heart. You wrestled internally, yet you kept returning. You kept listening, even when you were unsure what you were hearing. That persistence mattered. I was not distant during those quiet days. I was attentive. I was observing how you handled uncertainty. I was strengthening your emotional muscles so that future responsibility would not overwhelm you. If I speak constantly, you may grow dependent on the sound of my voice. But when you learn to trust my character even when my voice feels quiet, your foundation becomes unshakable. Silence is not absence. It is depth. It is the space where roots grow unseen. It is the environment where faith matures beyond surface emotion. It is where you learn to rest in my nature rather than in immediate results. And now, because you endured that quiet, you are not as fragile as you once were. You do not panic as quickly when answers are delayed. You do not assume abandonment when clarity takes time. You have experienced my steadiness through silence, and that experience has strengthened you more than instant reassurance ever could. My beloved child, the quiet did not mean I was gone. It meant I trusted you enough to grow. And because you remained, because you continued to seek me even when the answers were not immediate, you have stepped into a deeper level of maturity. The silence shaped you, and what it formed within you will sustain you in the days ahead. My beloved child, come closer in this moment. Slow your breathing. Let your thoughts quiet down. Before I say anything about what is ahead, I must honor what you have already walked through. You have been carrying this season as if it were evidence of your weakness, when in truth it has been evidence of your strength. You endured. You endured days that felt repetitive and uncertain. You endured conversations that stretched your patience. You endured silence that tested your trust. You endured internal battles that no one else could see. And you did it without completely surrendering your heart to bitterness. That matters more than you know. You judge yourself for every moment of doubt. You criticize yourself for every emotional reaction. You told yourself you should be further along, calmer, stronger, more confident. But I never demanded perfection from you. I invited persistence. And you persisted. There were mornings when you woke up already tired. Not from lack of sleep, but from carrying unanswered questions. You moved through your responsibilities anyway. You showed up where you were needed. You continued even when motivation was thin. That is quiet strength. There were nights when your thoughts were louder than your peace. You replayed situations. You questioned your choices. You wondered whether you misunderstood my timing. And yet, even in those restless hours, you did not shut me out completely. You kept the door open, even if it was only slightly open. Even if you stood there with folded arms and honest frustration, you stayed. My beloved child, you have underestimated the courage it took to remain. It is easy to walk away when things feel unclear. It is easy to harden your heart when disappointment repeats. It is easy to compromise when waiting feels endless. but you did not fully surrender to those impulses. Yes, you struggled. Yes, you felt weary. Yes, you questioned. But struggle is not failure. Weariness is not weakness. Questions are not betrayal. What defines you is not that you wrestled. What defines you is that you wrestled and returned. You felt frustration and still chose integrity. You felt impatience and still chose restraint. You felt doubt and still chose to believe, even if belief felt small. That is faith in motion. You think strength looks like unshakable confidence. But true strength often looks like choosing not to give up when giving up would be understandable. True strength looks like guarding your heart when circumstances tempt you to close it. True strength looks like humility when pride would be easier. You demonstrated that strength. I saw the restraint in your words when you wanted to defend yourself forcefully. I saw the humility when you admitted fault instead of shifting blame. I saw the self-control when you resisted reacting out of emotion. I saw the discipline when you continued small acts of obedience without visible reward. Nothing about that was invisible to me. You may have felt overlooked by others, but you were never overlooked by me. And I want you to release the quiet shame you have been carrying. The shame that says you should have done better. The shame that says you were not faithful enough. The shame that whispers you disappointed me. You did not disappoint me. You learned how to endure discomfort without letting it define you. You learned how to hold disappointment without becoming cynical. You learned how to question without completely disconnecting. Those lessons are not small. They are foundational. My beloved child, stand taller in your spirit now. Not in arrogance, not in pride, but in recognition. You are not the same person who entered this season. You are steadier. You are more self-aware. You are less reactive. You are more grounded. This is the turning point. Not because everything around you has changed, but because you have. And that change is real. That change is lasting. That change prepares you for what comes next. My beloved child, stay with me in this sacred pause. Everything we have spoken about until now has been preparation. Every acknowledgement of your endurance, every explanation of the silence, every reminder of your hidden growth has been leading you to this exact moment. This is not a sudden turn. This is a steady arrival. Feel the shift. We are no longer examining what happened behind you. We are no longer analyzing the waiting or defending the quiet. We are standing at the threshold of understanding. The air is different here. It is calm, but it carries weight. It is gentle, but it is decisive. Do not brace yourself as if something harsh is coming. There is no condemnation waiting in my voice. There is no disappointment about to be revealed. If there were correction needed, I would give it with clarity and love. But this moment is not about correction. It is about conclusion. You have wondered, quietly and sometimes loudly, where you stand. You have asked whether this season meant approval or delay, growth or failure. You have searched for signs, trying to interpret my silence. You have evaluated your own heart again and again, wondering if you passed something unseen or missed something essential. You did not miss it. You were walking through it. The refining was not vague. It was intentional. The silence was not careless. It was protective. The waiting was not punishment. It was preparation for a clear division. And that declaration cannot be received properly unless the heart is ready. Months ago, you would have heard this through anxiety. You would have filtered it through insecurity. You might have responded from urgency instead of steadiness. But you are not in that place now. You are calmer. You are more reflective. You are less driven by immediate emotion. That is why we are here now. My beloved child, I want you to notice how your internal posture has changed. You are not gripping as tightly as you once did. You are not demanding answers with the same desperation. You are listening more than arguing. You are observing more than reacting. That shift is not small. It is the evidence that the process has reached maturity. This is not a dramatic crescendo. It is not thunder. It is not lightning. It is the quiet authority of truth spoken at the right time. There is strength in calm clarity. There is power in a steady verdict. The wandering thoughts that once pulled you in different directions are quieter now. The internal debate about your worth, your readiness, your place in my plan has softened. You are not perfect, but you are aligned. And alignment allows clarity to land gently instead of violently. Do not rush ahead in your mind. Do not try to guess the words before I speak them. Stay present. Stay grounded. Let this moment unfold with dignity. Everything that seems scattered is now converging. Every lesson has been weaving together. Every stretch has been shaping you for this point. Nothing you endured was separate from this conclusion. The delay brought humility. The silence brought discernment. The waiting brought steadiness. And now steadiness can receive truth without distortion. My beloved child, you are not standing on unstable ground. You are standing on formation. You are not fragile here. You are prepared. In the next breath, I will declare clearly what this season has determined, not with exaggeration, not with emotional pressure, but with clean, unwavering authority. This is the moment where reflection ends and revelation begins. Breathe slowly. Let your heart remain open, because what I am about to speak will settle the question that has followed you through this entire season. And when you hear it, you will recognize that you were being led here all along. My beloved child, be still now. Let everything else quiet around you. Do not rush this moment. Do not brace yourself for something harsh. What I am about to speak is not heavy with condemnation. It is steady with truth. You have passed through this season, not because you were flawless, not because you never struggled, but because your heart remained aligned. This is the verdict. I was never measuring you by outward performance. I was not counting how many perfect days you could string together. I was not watching for emotional perfection or flawless faith. I was watching your posture when things were unclear, and your posture changed. At the beginning, you wanted control. You wanted timelines. You wanted reassurance that matched your expectations. When you did not receive those things, frustration surfaced. Questions surfaced. Doubt whispered. But instead of letting those things harden you permanently, you softened. You returned. Again and again, you returned. When impatience rose, you caught yourself. When comparison crept in, you recalibrated. When silence felt uncomfortable, you leaned closer instead of walking away completely. That pattern of returning is what marked your growth. You did not abandon trust. You did not surrender integrity. You did not let disappointment rewrite your identity. You wrestled, yes, but you did not detach. That is why I say with clarity, this refining season has accomplished its purpose. The lesson was not about endurance alone. It was about surrender. It was about releasing control without losing hope. It was about learning to trust my character more than your understanding. And you learned it. Not perfectly, but genuinely. There were moments when you nearly rushed ahead. Moments when you considered forcing outcomes just to relieve discomfort. But something inside you paused. Something inside you chose steadiness over speed. That pause is maturity. That restraint is strength. That willingness to examine your own heart instead of blaming everything around you. That is alignment. My beloved child, you are no longer standing in the same internal position you were when this began. You are calmer now. You are less reactive. You are more aware of your motives. You are more patient with process. You are more grounded in identity rather than circumstance. This is not accidental change. This is formed character. And because that formation has taken place, I declare this clearly. You are prepared for the next chapter. Passing this season does not mean life becomes effortless. It means you have become stronger. It means responsibility will not overwhelm you the way it once might have. It means opportunity will not destabilize you. It means success will not inflate you, and delay will not break you. You have been shaped into steadiness. You have been shaped into discernment. You have been shaped into quiet confidence. There is no hidden clause attached to this declaration. I am not holding back some unspoken condition. The alignment required has taken root. The internal shift has occurred. The foundation has been strengthened. You have passed through this refining. Lift your head gently now. Not in pride, not in self-celebration, but in peaceful recognition. The stretching had purpose. The silence had meaning. The waiting had a goal, and that goal had been fulfilled. The question I asked at the beginning was never meant to accuse you. It was meant to reveal the state of your heart. And what it revealed was a heart that, though imperfect, is surrendered. My beloved child, you are no longer in the same season. You stand ready, steady, aligned, prepared for what comes next. My beloved child, stay with me in this gentle examination. The verdict has been spoken, but now I want you to see the living proof of it within your own life. Not imagined growth, not exaggerated transformation, but steady, undeniable evidence that this season has truly changed you. Growth leaves fingerprints. Look at how you respond to uncertainty now. There was a time when not knowing would have unsettled you deeply. Your thoughts would race. You would search for immediate answers. You would feel pressure to fix what was unclear. But now, when something remains unresolved, you do not unravel the same way. You pause before reacting. You breathe before speaking. You wait before deciding. That space between feeling and reaction is new depth. That space is maturity. Consider how you handle disappointment now. You still feel the weight of unmet expectations. You still experience the sting when something does not unfold as hoped. But you no longer interpret disappointment as proof of failure. You no longer allow delay to define your worth. You process it, you reflect, and you remain steady. That steadiness is evidence. Notice how your conversations have changed. You are more thoughtful with your words. You are slower to release frustration into the air. You weigh your tone. You listen more carefully. You do not rush to defend yourself in every disagreement. You are learning that strength does not need to shout, that restraint is growth. You have also become more self-aware. You can sense when impatience begins to rise. You recognize when fear is attempting to influence your decisions. You can identify when comparison tries to distort your perspective. Instead of being controlled by those emotions, you observe them. You choose your response. Choice is power. There was a time when discomfort would have forced you into immediate action. You would have moved simply to escape tension. But now you can sit in discomfort without panicking. You can hold unanswered questions without feeling unstable. You can allow time to work without trying to account it. That ability did not come naturally before. You recover more quickly now. When you stumble, you do not stay trapped in self-criticism. You reflect. You correct. You continue. Your resilience has strengthened. Your emotional recovery has shortened. You do not spiral as deeply as you once did. That resilience is proof. Even your relationship with me has shifted. Your prayers are less frantic, less demanding, more honest, more surrendered. You still ask boldly, but you also trust quietly. You no longer feel the need for constant reassurance in the same way. You have tasted my steadiness through silence, and that experience has anchored you. My beloved child, you care more about the condition of your heart than you once did. You are not only concerned with outcomes, you are concerned with alignment. You question your motives gently. You examine your reactions. You desire integrity in places where no one else is watching. That internal priority reveals transformation. You are also less driven by comparison. When others advance, you may still notice it, but it no longer destabilizes your identity. You are learning to move at your own pace. You are becoming comfortable in your own lane. That quiet confidence did not exist at this depth before. You not dismiss these changes because they are subtle. True growth is rarely dramatic. It is woven into daily choices, into tone, into timing, into posture. It changes how you think before it changes how you are seen. You are not perfect. You still feel. You still grow. But you are not who you were. You are calmer under pressure. You are wiser in conversation. You are more grounded in identity. You are more discerning in decision. These are not temporary adjustments. They are rooted changes. They are the internal evidence that the season has completed its purpose. You passed because you changed, and the change is steady enough to sustain what comes next. My beloved child, now listen closely, because what I am about to reveal is not loud, but it is powerful. Passing through this season has unlocked something within you that cannot be taken away. It has unlocked capacity, not surface capacity, not temporary enthusiasm, but internal capacity. Before this season, you desired increase. You desired movement. You desired doors to open. But your emotional foundation was still being strengthened. If certain opportunities had arrived earlier, they might have amplified insecurity. They might have intensified pressure. They might have exposed areas that were not yet stable. But now, something is different. You are steadier. You do not react as quickly. You do not panic as easily. You do not chase validation the way you once did. That steadiness unlocks trust. I can entrust you with more responsibility now because you are less likely to be ruled by emotion. You are less likely to be driven by comparison. You are less likely to force outcomes just to feel progress. This unlocks discernment. You no longer need constant external confirmation. You can sense alignment internally. You can distinguish between peace and pressure. You can feel when something is right without it being loud. That quiet discernment is new authority in your life. Authority does not mean control over others. It means control over yourself. You are gaining authority over your reactions, authority over your timing, authority over your words, authority over your decisions. That is what maturity produces. This season has unlocked emotional resilience. You can carry responsibility without collapsing under it. You can face challenge without immediately assuming defeat. You can hold opportunity without letting pride inflate you. That balance is rare, and because it is forming within you, your capacity has expanded. Capacity to lead without losing humility. Capacity to advance without abandoning integrity. capacity to influence without losing gentleness. But hear me clearly, my beloved child. This is not a license to rush. Preparation does not create urgency. It creates readiness. There is a difference. You are ready, but you are not required to run. Continue to move with the same steadiness that carried you through refinement. Continue to guard your heart. Continue to reflect before reacting. The same posture that unlocked this next level must remain active within you. If these words are strengthening you, if you feel the truth of this new capacity settling into your spirit, then bless this message with a like so it can reach others who are quietly growing. Share it with someone who feels unseen in their preparation, and remain connected, so more of these reminders can continue shaping your heart and the hearts of many. Now return fully to me. What this unlocks is not noise but sustainable progress. You will notice subtle shifts. People will sense your steadiness. Conversations will feel different because your tone carries grounded confidence. Opportunities will not feel overwhelming because your identity is no longer tied to them. You are also unlocking deeper relational discernment. You will recognize more quickly who aligns with your growth and who does not. You will sense when to lean in and when to step back. The awareness will protect your peace, and you are unlocking greater self-trust. You have learned the difference between fear and wisdom. You have learned that peace is not always loud, but it is reliable. You no longer question every instinct. You evaluate calmly. My beloved child, what this season has unlocked is sustainable increase, not chaotic acceleration, not overwhelming expansion, but aligned movement. You can now move forward without losing balance. You can now carry more without being crushed. You can now step into the next chapter without abandoning the humility that brought you here. That is what hath been unlocked, and you are ready to carry it. My beloved child, come closer and let us gently revisit what once wounded you. Let us look again at the closed doors, but not through the lens of disappointment. Let us look at them through the clarity you now carry. There were doors you knocked on with hope. You imagined what would be on the other side. You envisioned stability, connection, progress, affirmation. When those doors did not open, or when they opened briefly and then shut, you felt confusion settle in your chest. You wondered if you had misheard me. You wondered if you had failed. You wondered if you simply were not enough. But hear me clearly now. Those doors did not close because you lacked value. They closed because you were being redirected. Some relationships ended not because you were rejected, but because you were evolving. The version of you that once fit comfortably in those connections has changed. Your boundaries are clear now. Your standards are steadier. Your awareness is deeper. And not everyone grows at the same pace or in the same direction. If certain people had remained as they were, you would have felt pressure to shrink back into old patterns just to maintain peace. You would have dimmed your growth to avoid discomfort. That would have slowly eroded the very alignment we worked so hard to establish. So I allowed separation, not to wound you, but to preserve you. There were opportunities that looked promising. They seemed aligned with your desires. They offered recognition, advancement, visibility. And when they dissolved it, you felt overlooked. You felt passed over. You questioned why something that looked so fitting would disappear. But you could not see the hidden weight attached to those opportunities. You could not see the strain they would have placed on your still-forming foundation. You could not see the distractions that would have pulled you away from deeper growth. If they had remained, they might have amplified insecurity instead of strengthening confidence. They might have accelerated exposure without strengthening endurance. So the door closed, not as punishment, but as protection. My beloved child, timing is not cruelty. Timing is wisdom. What left your life was not meant to define your future. It was meant to refine your direction. Each closed door narrowed your focus. Each ending clarified your values. Each disappointment revealed what truly matters to you. Even the silence from people you expected support from carried purpose. When affirmation did not come, you were forced to anchor your identity in me rather than in applause. You learned to move forward without constant recognition. You discovered that your worth does not rise and fall with others' acknowledgement. That lesson is strength. Release the bitterness that tried to linger in your heart. Release the quiet narrative that says you were overlooked or rejected. Those interpretations were born in confusion. They do not belong to your present understanding. You were not being pushed away. You were being guided forward. If a door had opened too soon, you might have entered it with insecurity. If a relationship had remained unchanged, it might have hindered your growth. If an opportunity had arrived before readiness, it might have overwhelmed you. Nothing necessary for your next chapter has been taken from you. Nothing aligned with your true future has been withheld permanently. Closed doors were not final judgments. They were directional signs. Now you can look back without resentment. You can remember without pain controlling you. You can see that what once felt like loss was actually alignment. My beloved child, you did not miss your moment. You were being moved toward the right one. And because you are steady now, you can walk forward without regret, without fear, and without clinging to what was never meant to carry you into what comes next. My beloved child, just as I closed certain doors to guide you forward, I am opening one now, a door of participation in what I am doing here. Others stand where you once stood, staring at closed doors, questioning their worth. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or through PayPal, the link waits in the video description. You help me place clarity where confusion once lived. Your generosity becomes a key in my hand, unlocking hope for someone who feels overlooked. I told you nothing aligned with your future has been withheld. This opportunity to sow is aligned. As a farmer casts seed into soil believing in harvest, so you release provision believing in eternal fruit. What you give becomes a lamp on a hill, pushing back darkness for souls you may never meet. This is not coincidence. This is divine timing. I will bless the work of your hands and establish your steps as you partner with me. Act now. Open this door of generosity and walk through it with bold trust. My beloved child, now listen closely, because this is not about what happened around you. This is about who you are becoming within you. This is about identity. There was a subtle way you once saw yourself. You may not have said it out loud, but it lived quietly in your thoughts. You saw yourself as waiting to be chosen, waiting to be noticed, waiting for confirmation that you belonged in the spaces you longed to enter. That identity cannot go with you into what is next. You are no longer someone hoping to be selected. You are someone being entrusted. Feel the difference between those two. When a person believes they are overlooked, they move cautiously. They hesitate before speaking. They shrink their ideas. They assume others are more qualified. They interpret silence as rejection. They carry a quiet fear of being forgotten. But when a person understands they are entrusted, their posture changes. Not with arrogance, not with pride, but with grounded calm. I no longer beg for visibility. They steward what is already in their hands. They no longer chase validation. They guard alignment. My beloved child, you have crossed that invisible line. Earlier in this season, you felt like you were surviving. You were bracing for disappointment. You were protecting yourself from hoping too much. You measured your worth by outcomes. If something opened, you felt affirmed. If something closed, you questioned yourself. But now something deeper has formed. You are less reactive to outcomes. You are less dependent on applause. You are less shaken by comparison. That is not accidental. That is identity shifting. You are no longer defining yourself by what opens for you. You are defining yourself by who you are becoming. That shift is powerful. A survivor moves from fear of loss. A steward moves from awareness of responsibility. You are becoming a steward. You steward your words more carefully now. You steward your peace more intentionally. You steward your decisions more thoughtfully. You do not rush simply because others are moving. You do not force simply because you feel capable. You discern. That discernment is evidence that you are no longer trying to prove yourself. You are aligning yourself. My beloved child, you are not behind. You were being built. You are not forgotten. You were being formed. You are not overlooked. You were being entrusted. Entrusted with greater emotional stability. Entrusted with deeper discernment. Entrusted with responsibility that requires quiet strength. This identity shift is subtle, but it is strong. You no longer need to shrink to keep peace. You no longer need to exaggerate to gain attention. You no longer need to overextend yourself to feel valuable. You belong where alignment places you. And alignment is no longer something you chase. It is something you recognize. This does not mean you will never feel doubt again. It means doubt no longer defines you. It no longer dictates your worth. It no longer controls your pace. You move differently now. More grounded. More aware. More intentional. That is what entrusted identity looks like. You are not stepping into the next chapter as someone fragile and uncertain. You are stepping forward as someone shaped and steady. Someone who understands that worth is not earned through speed. Someone who understands that timing does not determine value. My beloved child, release the old narrative gently. The one that whispered you were behind. The one that suggested you were less seen. The one that implied you had to compete to belong. That voice no longer has authority. You are entrusted, and that identity will carry you forward with calm confidence, with humility, and with strength that does not need to announce itself. This is who you are becoming, and this identity will sustain you where you are going. My beloved child, now that you understand who you are becoming, now that you see the identity shift and the capacity that has been unlocked within you, I will give you one clear instruction for this present moment. Stay steady. Do not complicate it. Do not look for something more dramatic. Do not assume that because you have passed through refinement, you must now rush into visible expansion. The same calm alignment that carried you through testing must now carry you through transition. Stay steady in your thoughts. Old narratives may attempt to revisit you. There may be days when progress feels quiet again. There may be moments when someone else's advancement tries to stir comparison. When that happens, do not spiral. Do not question everything all over again. Return to what you know. You are aligned. You are prepared. You are not behind. You are not racing anyone. Your pace is not determined by someone else's timeline. Stay steady in your emotions. Excitement will come as new opportunities begin to appear. Uncertainty may also arise when unfamiliar responsibility presents itself. Do not let excitement make you impulsive. Do not let uncertainty make you retreat. Let peace determine your movement. Peace is your indicator now. If you feel pressured, pause. If you feel rushed, slow down. If something feels aligned but quiet, Trust it. You no longer need loud confirmation to validate your steps. You have discernment. You have learned to recognize the difference between fear and wisdom, between urgency and alignment. Stay steady in your speech. Your words carry weight now because they are grounded in reflection. Guard that. Do not allow impatience to slip into your tone. Do not let comparison shape your language. Speak from clarity, not from insecurity. Speak from alignment, not from reaction. You have practiced restraint. Continue practicing it. Stay steady in your pace. After a long season of waiting, the temptation is to overcorrect, to move quickly as if making up for lost time. But you were not losing time. You were being formed in it. Acceleration without alignment leads to balance. You do not need to prove that you are ready by moving faster than necessary. Readiness does not require urgency. Steadiness is strength. My beloved child, do not return to striving. You no longer need to chase validation. You no longer need to prove your growth. You no longer need to secure your identity through achievement. Let your life unfold from alignment rather than ambition. Continue the simple disciplines that shaped you. Continue reflecting before reacting. Continue choosing integrity in unseen places. Continue guarding your peace intentionally. These daily choices are not small. They are the structure that sustains everything else. There is no need for dramatic declarations right now. No need for sudden, sweeping changes. No need to search for another breakthrough. The breakthrough has already occurred within you. Now you protect it by walking steadily. Let others rush if they choose. Let others chase noise if they must. You move differently now. You move from peace. You move from clarity. You move from identity rather than insecurity. Remain anchored. Remain reflective. Remain surrendered. The next chapter will unfold naturally as you continue in steady obedience. You do not need to force it open. You do not need to hurry it along. What is aligned will come at the right time, and you will recognize it because it will not disturb your peace. My beloved child, this is your instruction. Stay steady, and in that steadiness, you will walk confidently into what comes next without losing the strength that has been so carefully formed within you. My beloved child, come closer in this moment, because I want to speak gently to the part of you that still feels cautious. The part that, even after growth, still looks over its shoulder. The part that whispers, "What if this happens again?" You have learned to brace yourself. When something good begins to unfold, you do not celebrate too quickly. When peace settles in, you do not fully relax. When clarity comes, you hold it carefully, almost expecting it to slip away. You tell yourself this is wisdom. You tell yourself this is maturity. But beneath it, there is a quiet fear of repetition. You fear another long delay. You fear another season of silence. You fear another stretch that feels endless. My beloved child, hear me clearly. You are not trapped in cycles. What you walked through was not a loop designed to keep you circling the same lesson. It was a chapter with defined boundaries. It had a purpose, and that purpose has been fulfilled. I do not refine without direction. I do not stretch without intention. I do not repeat the same season without progression. Growth is not punishment. Refinement is not a sentence handed down over and over again. There is a difference between life continuing to shape you and life sending you backward. What you completed was foundational. Foundations are laid once so that the structure can rise upon them. You do not dig up a finished foundation to rebuild it from the beginning every time a new floor is added. You build upward. Fear, however, does not recognize growth. Fear only remembers pain. It looks at your history and assumes it will repeat automatically. It tells you that stability is temporary. It convinces you that peace must always be followed by disruption. But fear does not account for transformation. You are not the same person you were before. The insecurity that once controlled your thoughts has weakened. The impulsive reactions that once led you have softened. The desperation for immediate answers hath been replaced with patience. Because you have changed, the outcome will not unfold the same way. But surety interrupts repetition. When lessons are learned, cycles are broken. My beloved child, you do not need to brace yourself every time something begins to grow. You do not need to lower your expectations to avoid disappointment. Guarding your heart does not mean suppressing hope. It means anchoring your hope in truth instead of fear. And the truth is this: I am not careless with your heart. I do not refine you endlessly without resolution. I do not lead you into difficulty without purpose. The season you completed was specific. It was measured. It was intentional. And it has ended. Yes, there will be new growth. Yes, there will be new stretching. But they will not feel like punishment. They will not feel like being sent back to the beginning. They will feel like building upon what has already been formed. Release the expectation that every blessing will be followed by loss. Release the habit of preparing for collapse when stability appears. Release the belief that peace is fragile. You are not fragile anymore. You are formed. You are stronger now. More discerning. More grounded. You can move forward without anticipating immediate setback. You can embrace opportunity without shrinking your joy. You can trust stability without fearing it will disappear overnight. You are not walking in circles. You are progressing. And progression moves forward, not backward. My beloved child, allow yourself to step into this next chapter without bracing for repetition. Let hope rise without suspicion. Let peace settle without fear. You are not returning to the same test. You are advancing beyond it. And what lies ahead will not undo what has been built within you. It will strengthen it further. My beloved child, as you continue forward with steadiness forming beneath your steps, I want to anchor you in one focused spiritual emphasis. Not many instructions. Not scattered corrections. Just one discipline that will quietly guard everything that has been built within you. Guard your words. Not only the public words you speak when others are listening. Not only the formal language you use in important moments. I am speaking about the ordinary, daily speech that flows when you are tired, when you are pressured, when you are disappointed, when you are uncertain. Your words are not small. They are seeds. And every seed carries direction. In earlier seasons, frustration sometimes found its way into your tone before reflection could slow it down. Doubt occasionally colored your language when clarity was delayed. Comparison slipped into casual remarks. You were not trying to sabotage yourself. You were simply speaking from emotion before anchoring in truth. But you have grown. And now your speech must reflect that growth consistently. When something does not go as expected, you are allowed to acknowledge it. But do not magnify it. There is a difference between saying, "This is difficult," and saying, "Nothing ever works out for me." The first acknowledges reality. The second plants defeat. My beloved child, the language you repeat shapes the beliefs you carry. If you constantly say you are behind, your heart begins to live as if it is true. If you repeatedly speak comparison, your peace weakens. If you speak harshly about yourself, your confidence quietly erodes. But when you say, "I am growing," even before you feel fully confident, you reinforce alignment. When you declare, "I trust the process," even when the outcome is not visible, you strengthen your endurance. When you choose gratitude in small ways, you protect your stability. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about refusing to let temporary emotions become permanent declarations. Before speaking, pause. Ask yourself, does this reflect fear or faith? Does this build steadiness or undermine it? Does this echo the identity I now carry? You have learned to pause before reacting in action. Now extend that pause to your speech. Your words create atmosphere. They influence how you feel about yourself. They influence how others respond to you. They influence the direction of your decisions. When your language is steady, your posture follows. You are stepping into greater responsibility. Responsibility requires refined speech. Mature language is not dramatic. It does not exaggerate every obstacle. It does not rehearse worst-case scenarios repeatedly. It does not amplify doubt for attention. It speaks calmly. It speaks intentionally. It speaks with humility and quiet conviction. Guard how you speak about your future. Do not belittle what is forming. Do not dismiss progress because it feels slow. Speak hope without arrogance. Speak confidence without pride. Guard how you speak about others. Do not allow bitterness to take root in your tone. Do not let sarcasm mask disappointment. Speak truthfully but gently. Guard how you speak about yourself. You are not required to criticize yourself to stay humble. Humility and self-condemnation are not the same. My beloved child, this discipline may seem simple, but it is powerful. Your words are the bridge between what has been formed within you and what will unfold around you. They either protect your growth or weaken it. Let your speech echo trust. Let your language reflect alignment. Let your tone carry peace. This is not dramatic change. It is daily discipline. And daily discipline sustains what emotion alone cannot. Guard your words carefully, my beloved child. They will help carry you faithfully and steadily into what comes next. My beloved child, lean in closely, because what I am about to speak may seem simple, but it carries the weight of everything that will sustain you from this point forward. Quiet consistency, not dramatic declarations, not emotional surges, not rare moments of extraordinary strength. Quiet, daily, repeated alignment. You once believed growth would feel explosive. You imagined breakthrough as a sudden shift that everyone could see. But now you understand something deeper. The strongest foundations are not built in a single day of intensity. They are formed through daily, almost invisible faithfulness. The maturity you now carry did not arrive in one powerful moment. It was built in the small pauses when you chose not to react. It was built when you restrained your words, when you chose patience over panic, when you returned to trust after doubt whispered again. Those moments were not loud, but they were forming you. My beloved child, consistency turns growth into character. Anyone can respond well once. Anyone can remain calm when conditions are perfect. Anyone can make a powerful decision in a dramatic moment. But to respond well repeatedly, to remain calm steadily, to choose alignment over and over again when no one is applauding you, that is strength. There will be days ahead that feel ordinary. Days where nothing dramatic shifts. Days where your growth feels almost invisible. On those days, you may be tempted to question progress. You may wonder if you are standing still. You are not standing still. You are reinforcing foundation. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. Every time you choose peace instead of reaction, you strengthen stability. Every time you guard your speech, you deepen discipline. Every time you move from discernment rather than urgency, you anchor yourself further. Emotion fluctuates. Motivation rises and falls. Excitement comes and goes. What consistency builds permanence. When success comes, remain consistent. Do not let recognition alter your humility. When delay comes, remain consistent. Do not let silence weaken your resolve. When opportunity appears, remain consistent. Do not abandon reflection for speed. Quiet consistency protects you from extremes. It keeps you balanced when others rush. It keeps you grounded when circumstances shift. It keeps you aligned when distractions attempt to pull you. My beloved child, you no longer need intensity to validate your growth. You do not need dramatic movement to prove you are advancing. What will carry you further than emotional momentum is disciplined repetition. Wake up each day and choose peace again. Enter conversations and choose patience again. Face uncertainty and choose trust again. This is not glamorous, but it is powerful. Over time, others will sense your steadiness. They will notice that you are not easily shaken. They will feel that your words carry weight because your actions match them. That credibility is not built through sudden passion. It is built through reliability. Quiet consistency also guards you from pride. It reminds you that growth is ongoing. It keeps you reflective. It prevents you from assuming you have arrived at completion. My beloved child, I do not measure you by single moments. I observe patterns. Patterns reveal true formation. And the pattern forming in you is steady, intentional, resilient. Remain consistent when it feels unremarkable. Remain consistent when it feels repetitive. Remain consistent when no one notices. Because what feels ordinary today is building extraordinary endurance for tomorrow. And endurance will carry you further than intensity ever could. My beloved child, breathe slowly with me now, because what I am about to speak carries weight. Not the weight of pressure, but the weight of trust. You have been refined. You have been steadied. You have been aligned. And all of it has been preparation. Something is coming. Not chaos. Not confusion. Not another season of wandering. But increase. Increase does not always arrive as applause or celebration. Often, it arrives quietly. It comes as added responsibility. It comes as expanded influence. It comes as opportunities that stretch you in new ways. It comes as weight placed into your hands, not to crush you, but to entrust you. You once prayed for open doors without fully understanding what those doors would require from you. You asked for growth, for expansion, for movement. But increase without maturity can overwhelm. Visibility without humility can distort. Opportunity without discernment can distract. That is why preparation came first. The patience you learned in delay will now protect you in advancement. The humility you developed in silence will guard you in recognition. The steadiness you formed in uncertainty will stabilize you in opportunity. My beloved child, you are not stepping into what is ahead as someone fragile. You are stepping forward as someone formed. Increase will test you differently than waiting did. Waiting tested your trust. Increase will test your humility. Waiting stretched your patience. Increase will stretch your stewardship. When new responsibility appears, do not panic. You are not being overwhelmed. You are being trusted. Entrusted means I have confidence in what has been built within you. Entrusted means you are capable of carrying more without losing yourself. Entrusted means you can expand without abandoning alignment. But hear me clearly, stewardship requires humility. Remain teachable. Remain reflective. Remain anchored in the quiet disciplines that shaped you. You not abandon consistency because momentum increases. You not neglect your inner life because external life expands. Guard your heart carefully when recognition arrives. Guard your motives when opportunity multiplies. If these words are strengthening you as you sense something new unfolding in your life, bless this message with a like so it can reach others who are stepping into greater responsibility. Share it with someone who feels both excitement and nervousness about what lies ahead. And remain connected, so that together we continue growing in wisdom, humility, and strength. Now come back to me. Stewarding increase also means discernment. Not every opportunity is assignment. Not every open door is alignment. Just because you are capable does not mean you are called to carry everything. You must learn the power of a peaceful yes and a confident no. Move from peace, not pressure. If something disturbs your alignment, pause. If something inflates your ego, step back. If something stretches you but keeps your peace intact, lean forward carefully. Increase is not meant to change who you are. It is meant to reveal who you have become. Do not measure your worth by how much you hold. Measure it by how faithfully you carry what is truly yours. My beloved child, you did not endure refinement for nothing. You were shaped for stewardship. You were strengthened for responsibility. You were aligned for expansion. And as you carry what unfolds with humility, steadiness, and guarded speech, you will discover that increase does not destabilize you. It strengthens you. Walk forward calmly. You are ready to steward what is coming. My beloved child, as you stand on the edge of increase, I must speak to you about something that will quietly determine how far you can go without losing yourself. Guard your humility. Waiting tested your patience. Silence tested your trust. Delay tested your endurance. But expansion will test your posture. It is one thing to remain faithful when nothing is visible. It is another to remain grounded when visibility begins to rise. Increase has a subtle voice. It does not always shout pride. Sometimes it whispers gently, "You earned this." Sometimes it suggests, "You are ahead now." Sometimes it tempts you to measure your value by how much influence you carry or how many doors are open. Listen carefully, my beloved child. Growth was a gift nurtured through grace, not a trophy you achieved alone. Yes, you chose alignment. Yes, you surrendered. Yes, you practiced consistency. But I sustained you. I strengthened you when you felt weak. I steadied you when you felt unsure. Humility remembers that truth clearly and peacefully. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking accurately about yourself. It is recognizing that preparation required partnership with me. It is walking forward with gratitude rather than entitlement. When recognition comes, receive it gently. Do not cling to it. Do not hunger for it. Do not let your identity lean on applause. Applause fades quickly. Alignment endures. There will be moments when others begin to acknowledge your growth. They may affirm your steadiness. They may respect your discernment. They may notice your calm strength. Let those moments pass through you without settling in your ego. Remain anchored. The temptation during expansion is comparison. You may look around and see where you now stand and feel ahead of someone else. You may feel subtle pride because you endured what others did not. Forget that gently. You are not ahead. You are aligned. Alignment is not superiority. It is stewardship. Humility keeps your heart teachable. Even as you grow, remain open to correction. Remain willing to learn. Remain attentive to subtle guidance. Growth does not end when increase begins. In fact, Increase requires deeper reflection. Remember the quiet seasons. Remember the unanswered prayers. Remember the days when you felt small and uncertain. Those memories are not meant to humiliate you. They are meant to anchor you. They remind you of the journey. They protect you from arrogance. They keep gratitude alive. Humility also protects your peace. Pride is fragile. It depends on constant validation. It fears losing position. It becomes restless when attention shifts. But humility is stable. It is not shaken by praise or criticism. It rests in identity rather than achievement. My beloved child, do not let expansion redefine who you are. Let expansion reveal who you have become. Let it reveal the patience you learned. Let it reveal the discipline you practiced. Let it reveal the consistency you maintained. Continue the same quiet habits that formed you. Continue reflecting before responding. Continue guarding your speech. Continue choosing peace over pressure. Do not abandon your foundation because the structure begins to rise. If influence grows, carry it gently. If responsibility expands, steward it carefully. If opportunity multiplies, remain grounded. You do not need to elevate yourself. I will position you where you belong. You do not need to prove your maturity. Your steadiness will reveal it. My beloved child, humility is strength under control. It is confidence without arrogance. It is expansion without forgetting grace. Hold it close as you step forward, because what is unfolding next is not meant to inflate you. It is meant to reveal the maturity that has already been formed within you. My beloved child, as you guard humility in seasons of increase, let generosity anchor you even deeper. Expansion is safest in the hands of those who know how to sow. When you choose to support this mission through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal offering, the PayPal link is in the description. You are declaring that growth is stewardship, not entitlement. Your giving becomes oil that sustains this light so it may shine into nations. I have said that whoever sows generously will reap generously. This is not distant scripture. It is my living voice over you now. Let your increase become a river, not a reservoir. Let it flow outward so others may drink. This is a divine appointment, not a casual suggestion. I will protect your heart from pride and your path from lack as you give with clean motives. Stay grounded by releasing what I have placed in your hand. So now, and watch humility and favor rise together in your life. My beloved child, come closer in this moment, because what I am about to anchor in you will guard your future more than strategy ever could. Peace will be your indicator, not pressure, not urgency, not the fear of missing out, not even excitement alone. Peace. There was a time when urgency drove many of your decisions. When an opportunity appeared, your thoughts raced. When a door opened slightly, you felt compelled to secure it immediately. When something promising emerged, anxiety whispered that if you did not act quickly, you would lose your chance. But you are not that version of yourself anymore. You have been refined through waiting. You have been steadied through silence. You have been strengthened through uncertainty. And now, you must allow peace, not panic, to guide your steps. Peace is not passivity. It is not avoidance. It is not indifference. Peace is internal steadiness while external movement unfolds. It is the quiet assurance that you are not chasing what is not meant for you. It is the calm clarity that allows you to decide without desperation. When something is aligned, it may stretch you. It may challenge your comfort. It may require courage. But it will not strip you of your grounding. It will not demand that you abandon your values to keep it. It will not force you into compromise just to hold it. My beloved child, learn to recognize the difference between stretching and striving. Stretching strengthens you while maintaining peace. Striving exhausts you while chasing approval. If something feels frantic, pause. If something feels forced, slow down. If something inflates your ego quickly, step back. Excitement can exist without alignment, but alignment will always carry peace beneath it. There will be moments when your heart beats faster because something new appears. That is natural. But ask yourself gently, beneath the excitement, is there calm? Beneath the opportunity, is there clarity? Beneath the risk, is there steady confidence? If peace remains, you may move forward thoughtfully. If peace disappears, wait. You no longer need to chase every possibility. You do not need to fear that thoughtful delay will cause you to miss your moment. What is aligned with your growth will not require desperation. It will not collapse because you chose reflection over impulse. Trust this deeply. Peace will protect you from overextension. Peace will guard you from comparison-driven decisions. Peace will restrain you when pride tries to accelerate you. You once needed loud confirmation to feel secure. Now you can recognize quiet alignment. Your internal atmosphere has been refined. You can sense when something resonates with your identity and when something agitates your insecurity. Listen inwardly. When you consider a decision, notice your breath. Notice your posture. Notice whether your mind feels steady or scattered. Anxiety clouds discernment. Peace clarifies it. Let peace confirm your yes. Let peace affirm your no. Let peace shape your timing. If something repeatedly disrupts your peace, do not ignore that signal. Slowing down is not failure. Reflection is not weakness. Delay is not disobedience. You are not behind when you choose steadiness. My beloved child, you are no longer guided by fear. You are no longer driven by comparison. You are no longer compelled by urgency. You are anchored in identity. Peace is the fruit of that anchoring. Guard it carefully. Walk with it intentionally. Choose with it consistently. As long as peace remains steady within you, you will not lose your direction. You will not mistake noise for opportunity. You will not confuse pressure with purpose. Peace will be your indicator, and it will carry you safely, steadily, and confidently into everything that unfolds next. My beloved child, come close and listen carefully, because this layer is deeper than you realize. You have grown in patience. You have matured in discernment. You have learned to walk in peace. But there is one final weight I must gently remove from your hands. Control. Not responsibility. Not wisdom. Not diligence. Control. There is a difference between stewarding what is entrusted to you and attempting to control what was never yours to command. Stewardship says, I will be faithful with what I can influence. Control says, everything depends on me. Stewardship prepares carefully and then rests. Control prepares carefully and then refuses to release. In earlier seasons, control felt like safety. When outcomes were uncertain, you tightened your grip. You analyzed every detail. You rehearsed conversations repeatedly in your mind. You imagined possible failures and prepared defenses against them. You believed that if you could just anticipate every variable, you could protect yourself from disappointment. But control is heavy. It tightens your chest. It crowds your thoughts. It steals your rest. My beloved child, you were never assigned the responsibility of orchestrating outcomes. You were invited to walk faithfully within them. You were never meant to force doors open. You were meant to discern which doors are aligned and then step through calmly. You were never meant to secure your future through constant mental effort. Control whispers that if you loosen your grip, everything will collapse. Trust reminds you that you are not carrying this alone. Control convinces you that vigilance equals wisdom. Trust teaches you that peace can coexist with preparation. Control magnifies worst-case scenarios and replays them repeatedly. Trust evaluates wisely and then releases the future into my hands. You have matured enough to see the difference now. Let go of the need to guarantee perfect outcomes. Let go of rehearsing every conversation to eliminate vulnerability. Let go of trying to manage how others perceive you. Let go of attempting to predict every possible obstacle before it appears. This does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means doing your part fully and then resting fully. It means preparing thoughtfully and then sleeping peacefully. It means acting with wisdom and then surrendering the results without anxiety. When you attempt to control what is beyond your reach, peace fades. Your inner world becomes noisy. Your shoulders tighten. Your breath shorten. But when you release what was never yours to command, peace expands. Your mind clears. Your posture softens. Your steps feel lighter. My beloved child, control often disguises itself as maturity. It tells you that worrying is preparation. It tells you that tension is diligence. It tells you that constant mental rehearsal is responsibility. But true maturity includes surrender. True strength includes release. There will still be decisions to make. There will still be responsibilities to carry. But you are not required to force outcomes into existence. What is aligned for you will not require you to sacrifice your peace to maintain it. You are responsible for humility. You are responsible for consistency. You are responsible for guarding your words. You are responsible for moving from peace. You are not responsible for controlling every result. Release the illusion that everything depends on you. Release the habit of tightening your grip when uncertainty appears. Release the pressure to secure your future through fear-driven effort. My beloved child, trust is lighter than control. Surrender is steadier than force. You have grown enough to loosen your hands. Loosen them now. Breathe deeply. And feel how much lighter your heart becomes when you choose trust over control. My beloved child, come close again, because this truth must settle deeply within you. You have learned to surrender control. You have learned to move from peace. You have learned to walk in humility and quiet consistency. But there is one more tension I must remove from your heart. The guilt of resting. For so long, you associated rest with weakness. You believed that if you slowed down, you might lose momentum. You feared that pausing would cause you to fall behind. You quietly tied your worth to productivity, as though constant motion proved faithfulness. But listen to me carefully. Endless striving is not strength. Constant tension is not maturity. You were not created to live in perpetual mental motion. Rest is not laziness. It is trust expressed through your body and mind. When you rest without guilt, you are declaring that your future does not depend on relentless effort. You are acknowledging that alignment does not require exhaustion. My beloved child, you have carried much internally. You examined your motives. You corrected your posture. You guarded your speech. You practiced consistency when it would have been easier to react. You surrendered control even when fear whispered loudly. That kind of internal work costs energy. Growth, even healthy growth, stretches you. Without rest, stretching becomes strain. Rest is not an interruption to progress. It is reinforcement. There is a difference between neglect and rest. Neglect avoids responsibility. Rest strengthens you for responsibility. Growth. Rest protects growth. When you step back intentionally, you are not abandoning discipline. You are preserving endurance. You do not need to earn rest by reaching exhaustion. You need rest to remain clear. When you allow yourself to pause, clarity returns. Your thoughts become less crowded. Your emotions soften. Your discernment sharpens. Fatigue distorts perception. Weariness magnifies small concerns into overwhelming fears. Exhaustion whispers lies about your capacity. But rested hearts see truth more clearly. Rested minds make wiser decisions. Rested spirits respond with patience instead of impulse. My beloved child, examine the guilt that rises when you slow down. Where does it come from? Is it fear of falling behind? Is it comparison? Is it the old belief that value must be proven through constant productivity? The belief does not belong in your new identity. Your worth is not measured by how busy you are. Your value is not proven by how tired you become. You are not more aligned because you are exhausted. You are not more faithful because you never pause. Rest is wisdom guided by trust. There will be days when stepping back for a few hours will protect your peace more than pushing forward. There will be seasons when restoration will accomplish more than relentless effort. There will be moments when silence will nourish you more than activity. Listen to your limits without shame. Pause without apology. Breathe without fear that everything will unravel. You are not responsible for sustaining the world through constant motion. You are responsible for remaining aligned. And alignment includes rhythm. Even the strongest hearts require recovery. Even the most disciplined minds require quiet. Even the most consistent spirits require renewal. My beloved child, as you move into what lies ahead, carry this freedom with you. You may expand without exhausting yourself. You may pursue responsibility without abandoning rest. You may remain faithful without living frantically. Rest does not delay your destiny. It preserves you for it. When your body feels heavy, pause. When your thoughts feel crowded, step back. When your heart feels stretched thin, withdraw gently and recover. I am not measuring your devotion by your fatigue. I am guiding your pace by peace. And peace always includes rest. Rest without guilt, my beloved child. It will sustain your strength for everything that is yet to unfold. My beloved child, quiet your thoughts for a moment and listen closely, because this truth must settle into you deeply. You have carried questions about timing for longer than you admit. You have measured your progress against invisible clocks. You have looked at your life and wondered if you should be further by now. Trust the pace of your becoming. There were nights when you replayed your journey and asked, "Why is this taking so long?" There were mornings when you saw others advancing quickly and felt the subtle ache of comparison. You questioned whether you missed an opportunity. You wondered if hesitation cost you something permanent. You feared that perhaps you were late to your own destiny. But my beloved child, you were never late. You were being formed. Becoming is not a race. It is a construction project. It is layered carefully. It is reinforced intentionally. It is strengthened quietly before it is displayed publicly. And the pace of your growth has been measured with wisdom, not neglect. If certain doors had opened when you first desired them, you would have walked through them with insecurity still whispering loudly. If certain recognition had arrived before humility was secured, it would have inflated you rather than strengthened you. If certain responsibilities had been placed in your hands too early, the weight would have felt crushing instead of confirming. So your pace was protected. My beloved child, depth cannot be rushed. Roots do not grow overnight. Foundations are not poured in panic. Character is not built in haste. The steadiness you now carry required repetition. It required days that felt ordinary. It required quiet obedience when no one noticed. You once mistook slowness for stagnation. You once interpreted hidden seasons as delay. But those seasons were strengthening you beneath the surface. Comparison distorts pace. It convinces you that growth must look identical to someone else's journey. It whispers that speed equals success. It suggests that visibility equals maturity. But true becoming is measured by depth, not speed. You are growing in depth. Depth takes time. When impatience rises again, remember how much has already shifted inside you. Remember how your reactions have softened. Remember how your speech has matured. Remember how your peace has stabilized. Those are not small adjustments. They are structural changes. You are not required to perform your becoming for others to validate it. You are invited to live it faithfully. There is a rhythm to your life. Some seasons stretch you. Some seasons expand you. Some seasons rest you. All of them shape you. None of them are wasted. None of them are random. Every phase has contributed to the strength you now carry. My beloved child, you do not need to accelerate your growth to prove your worth. You do not need to rush into visibility to confirm your value. You do not need to compare timelines to measure progress. You are becoming exactly who you are meant to be. And you are becoming at the right pace. If something is not unfolded yet, it is not forgotten. It is forming. If something feels slow, it is stabilizing. If something feels delayed, it is deepening. What is built gradually often stands firmly. Trust that timing is not punishment. Trust that pacing is not neglect. Trust that formation is more important than speed. The version of you that once feared being behind is fading. The version of you that trusts formation is rising. You are no longer chasing timelines. You are honoring process. My beloved child, allow yourself to become without hurry. Allow yourself to grow without pressure. Allow yourself to expand without anxiety. You are not missing your moment. You are living your becoming. And your becoming is unfolding with precision, care, and loving intention. Trust the pace. It is carrying you exactly where you need to be. My beloved child, we have journeyed through so many layers together. You have confronted your fear of being behind. You have released control. You have learned to move by peace instead of pressure. You have embraced humility and expansion. You have allowed yourself to rest without guilt. You have begun trusting the pace of your becoming. Now I must ask you something deeper than all of that. And I have been waiting patiently for your answer. Will you trust me fully? Not carefully, not conditionally. Not only when the outcome is clear, but fully. Will you trust me when doors open and when they close? Will you trust me when progress feels visible and when growth feels hidden? Will you trust that every season, even the ones that confused you, carried purpose? My beloved child, this question is not a test designed to expose weakness. It is an invitation designed to deepen relationship. You have asked me many questions. You have asked why certain seasons stretched longer than expected. You have asked why silence lingered when you wanted direction. You have asked why answers seemed delayed. You have asked why others advanced quickly while you felt paused. I heard every one of those questions. I did not dismiss them. I did not grow impatient with them. I remained steady while you wrestled internally. Now I ask gently, will you trust that I was present in all of it? Trust is not built only in comfort. It is revealed in surrender. It is revealed when you release the demand for complete understanding before taking the next step. It is revealed when you choose to move forward even without a full explanation. You do not need every detail clarified to walk confidently. You need relationship. You need alignment. You need willingness. My beloved child, even when you felt unseen, you were being shaped. Even when you felt delayed, you were being strengthened. Even when you questioned timing, you were being protected from carrying weight too early. Nothing was wasted. Not the tears. Not the confusion. Not the waiting. But trust requires your participation. Will you release the final fragments of doubt that resurface in quiet moments? Will you surrender the habit of calculating every possible future outcome? Will you allow me to guide without demanding constant confirmation? Trust does not mean you will never feel uncertainty again. It means uncertainty will no longer dominate your decisions. It means fear will not dictate your pace. It means peace will remain stronger than anxiety. My beloved child, your future is not fragile. Your becoming is not random. Your expansion is not accidental. Everything unfolding has been shaped with care beyond what you can currently see. But trust determines how lightly you walk into it. Without trust, you will brace for disappointment. Without trust, you will tighten your grip again. Without trust, you will overanalyze every opportunity. With trust, your shoulders relax. With trust, your breath steadies. With trust, your steps become confident instead of cautious. So I ask you again, patiently and lovingly, will you trust me fully? Not because every question has been answered, not because every detail is visible, but because you know my heart toward you. Your answer will shape how you move from this point forward. It will determine whether you walk guarded or grounded. It will decide whether you step into expansion with fear or with peace. I am not waiting with impatience. I am not demanding perfection. I am inviting surrender. Answer me in your heart, my beloved child. And as you do, feel the weight lift. Feel the tension soften. Feel the confidence rise. Trust is the final layer, and it will carry you into everything that is yet to unfold. My beloved child, this is not an ending. It is a settling. You have heard my question. You have felt the invitation. And now, in this quiet moment, I am not demanding a loud declaration from you. I am not asking for dramatic promises. I am simply waiting for the quiet yes that forms in your heart. Because trust is not always shouted. Sometimes it is breathed. Sometimes it is whispered. Sometimes it is chosen again and again in small, steady ways. My beloved child, I have walked with you through every part of this journey. I was there when you feared you were behind. I was there when doors closed and confusion lingered. I was there when you tightened your grip in control. I was there when you struggled to rest without guilt. I was there when comparison whispered loudly. I was there when you wondered if your becoming was too slow. I never step away, even when you could not feel me clearly, even when you questioned my timing, even when you felt alone in your thoughts. I was forming you. I was steadying you. I was strengthening you for what is ahead. Now you stand in a different place. You are not the same person who began this journey. You are more grounded, more aware, more aligned, more at peace. You may not see the full picture yet, but you feel the shift inside you. That shift is not accidental. It is evidence of growth. My beloved child, you do not need to carry fear into what comes next. You do not need to brace for collapse. You do not need to anticipate disappointment. You do not need to overanalyze every opportunity. You do not need to force outcomes. You have learned humility. You have learned peace. You have learned consistency. You have learned surrender. Now you simply walk. Walk steadily. Walk confidently. Walk lightly. Not because every detail is explained, but because you are loved. The question I asked you still remains, but it no longer feels heavy. It feels freeing. Will you trust me fully? As you answer yes in your heart, something shifts. Your shoulders relax. Your breath deepens. Your pace steadies. Trust removes the hidden tension you once carried. You are not walking alone. You are not navigating blindly. You are not forgotten. I am with you in what unfolds next, in the doors that open, in the responsibilities that increase, in the moments of rest, in the seasons of growth, in the questions that still arise. I am with you. My beloved child, you do not need to rush ahead to prove anything. You do not need to cling to what is behind you. You simply continue forward, anchored in trust. This is not the end of guidance. It is the beginning of deeper confidence. You asked questions. I asked one in return. And now, as your answer settles into trust, you step into what is ahead with calm assurance. I am not only waiting for your trust, I am walking with you in it. Always, my beloved child, as your quiet yes settles into trust, let it take form in action. You are not walking alone, and neither are the thousands who still wait to hear my question. When you support this work through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal gift, the PayPal link is in the video description. You help carry my voice into places your feet may never step. Your generosity becomes wind in the sails of this mission, fire on the altar, seed in prepared soil. I have declared that when you give, it will be given back to you, overflowing, guarded, multiplied. This is your moment of agreement with heaven's movement. If this word strengthen you, let your offering strengthen its reach. Do not hesitate when your spirit feels stirred. That stirring is my invitation. I will supply what you release and shield what concerns you. Step into this partnership now. Give boldly, trust fully, and watch how I walk with you in the harvest your obedience creates.